Hi. Hello, ladies. Thank you so much for joining me again. Thank you so much for joining me. I appreciate it. Well, I'm Latasha Pauline, one-on-one life coaching, next level, your one-on-one coach, tailor-made just for you. Just in case you didn't know all that. But anyway, I just want to say that if you're checking out this video, go ahead and check out my other videos and like them if you like them and subscribe to my page. Okay? So, we're talking about the topic tonight of forgiveness. Yeah, it's such an important topic. And I want to start out by saying first, ladies, you must you must take your mental health very seriously. Let me tell you why. Because your mental health is your foundation. Your thoughts and your mind and what you believe is your foundation, okay? So your mental health is so very important tonight. And so that's why we're talking about it. Anything that may block you for what God wants you to do, anything that may take you off of the way that God has for you have to get it taken care of. So that's why I want you to take your mental health very seriously. Because if you have something wrong mentally in the thoughts that you're having are blocking God's calling, you have to really take care of that and take it seriously. So forgiveness, I don't know if you ever thought about forgiveness being part of your mental health, but it is. Forgiveness is part of your mental health. So I want you to know that, and I want you to be healthy. And so that's why we're talking about forgiveness tonight, because it's an issue that I've dealt with personally. And so I want to go ahead and impart some things that I learned through forgiveness. I want to encourage you, okay? And I want to just talk about it from a point of view that I'm not talking at you, okay? Me and you, we're on this journey together. We're all on this journey together. And I just want to let you know my part of the journey. So then your part of the journey, maybe it can be easier through things that I know, through the knowledge that God has given me, through the wisdom He's given me, because knowledge He gives you. And then when you apply that, you obtain wisdom. So it's just not good enough just to have the knowledge. You have to apply the knowledge and create the wisdom in your life. Because in the Bible, it says wisdom is called out in the street. It's everywhere. You just need to be willing to receive it. So that being said, that I pray that the knowledge I give you tonight, that you apply this to your life and you become healthier mentally. And once you're healthier mentally, you are able to conquer that calling that God has for you, because we all have one. So let's talk about forgiveness. I'm telling you, for years and years, I couldn't teach on forgiveness because I had unforgiveness in my life. And what kind of hypocrite would I be to teach on forgiveness if I couldn't forgive? That's how I felt about it. So it was holding up part of my ministry, I felt, part of the things that God was telling me, because He was ministering to me while He was healing me and helping me. And He was ministering to me, and I could not get it out there. I could not speak the words because I had not yet done the actions. I had not yet accept forgiveness in my life. So because I hadn't received forgiveness in my life, I could not give it to anybody because I didn't have it to give, because I was holding on to something so precious, I felt, that I could not let go. I could not let go because I needed to hold on to it, because I felt like if I forgave that person, that meant I was saying what they did was okay. And it wasn't okay. So I felt like if I let go of that bitterness I had, that anger that I had, that disappointment, all the hurt, you name a negative adjective, I had it. I was just disappointed in the person. I was just so hurt. I didn't know what to do with all that. But I knew one thing. I knew if I held that unforgiveness close to me, that I would be okay. Unforgiveness became comfort in my life. It comforted me because I said, if I have this unforgiveness, I know I can make it. And I know that may sound weird, or maybe it doesn't, but I knew I could make it because it was comforting me to let me know that I could not be able to trust this person again or not be able to care for this person again, all because I had this unforgiveness. It was a block. So it was a kind of a coping mechanism. It helped me cope, I felt. So I didn't realize that my thinking was kind of off and it was kind of wrong because I was looking through the eyes of anger. I was looking all the negative things I just mentioned. That's what I was looking through. I was not looking through anything positive. It was all negative. So I decided to hold on to that unforgiveness because, it was not right. What happened or was done to me was not right. So I felt like, okay, they don't deserve it. They don't deserve forgiveness, so I'm not going to get it. And I made it up in my mind. And it was a conscious thing that I did. I was aware. I was awake. I knew exactly what I was doing. And it affected all the areas of my life. It did because I was angry and I was bitter. Every now and then it would come up. And a situation would happen that had nothing to do with who I was angry with, why I was angry, what they did to me. It had nothing to do with it. But that anger, that bitterness had to go somewhere. So every now and then it would pop up in its ugly head. Even as I was praying, it would pop up. I would be praying and then here comes the enemy saying, oh, you didn't forgive that person. You can't really pray, can you? Because you have this. And that's not of God. So you can't pray. You can't pour out to God when you're holding something back from him. See, I was holding that area of my life back. Oh my gosh. It was like I said, I felt like it was so precious to me. So I was holding it back. Not even God was allowed in that area because I was reserving it. I was reserving it for all the negative, and it's not any natural thing, it's a spiritual thing, and so I don't know, it's just it caused me a lot of stress. So I became stressed out about it. Every time I thought about it, my heart rate would like accelerate, I would get like butterflies in my stomach when I would think about it. I would just be so upset like it happened yesterday because I had not let the journey begin of forgiveness, because I hadn't allowed the forgiveness to start happening in my life. I was not progressing at all. I was staying in the same place because I had unforgiveness, and it was a trick of the enemy, and it was holding me back in a lot of different ways. Because once I held on to that unforgiveness, then I started distributing it in my other areas of my life into people, so since it was already in me, it was easy for me to not forgive my friend over here or my husband for something or my child for something, because it was already in me. If you get what I'm saying, when sin is working in your life, and it's reigning in you, you continue to let it spread to all the areas of your life. And so that's what I was doing, because that particular sin of unforgiveness was prevalent in my life. So it was easy for me to start holding things against other people. It was so easy because I felt like, this was working for this particular person. So let me start applying it to that person and that person. And it gives you a certain complex that you're walking around with. And sometimes, like, I have like facial expressions out of this world, and I'm sure it was showing up on my face. It was showing up within me because, like I said, I had the heartbeat, I had the butterflies in my stomach, and, and it gave me a certain amount of like unpleasantness, and so I had to get to the point where I was tired of it. Okay. I had to get to the point where I realized that it was overcoming me. It was changing me. It was making me a different person. Because that's what sin truly does, right? It changes who God made you to be. And it you start creating what the enemy has for you, because that's his characteristics you're taking on. So then I started creating, you know, what the enemy wanted for me, and he wanted for me to stop trusting people. So that brought about me stop trusting people. Then I wasn't forgiving them or trusting them. It's just, it starts stacking up. Once you have one sin prevalent in your life, then the other sin is just, it builds up. One sin begets another. And some sins are like brothers and sisters. It's easy for them to come together, and multiply in this kind of way because they're so similar. So once I started having the unforgiveness, then I started having distrust, because look at what this person did in my life. So can I really trust people? No, I can't, because I trust this person. Never thought that they would do that, and never thought they would hurt me. So I'm not forgiving them, and so now I don't trust them, of course, and so then it spreads to other people in my life. And it just disrupts your whole life. And this disrupts what God has for you and who God made you to be and who God called you to be. It disrupts your character. You have been infected with what the enemy wants for you through a bad situation and through not working through it. So let me tell you, unforgiveness. I'm going to go to my notes here. Like I said, it made me stay in pain. It made me stay in bitterness. It made me stay in rage. I had all these things inside of me and did not know what to do with them, so I started to distribute them. I needed to hold on because I was scared to let go. I was scared to let go of my pain, my bitterness, my rage. I was afraid because once I let go, what place would that take me? Where would I be once I let go to these things that I thought was a coping mechanism? Where would I be then? I had no idea, and I was not even ready to find out, to be honest. I was not ready to find out. And I remember talking to a friend, and she said to me, you won't always feel this way. You won't always be angry. And I could not foresee that. I received what she said because I was hoping, but at that point, I was not ready. The whole thing of forgiveness is a process, right? And whenever you're dealing with someone that has unforgiveness, of course, you want to encourage them to forgive, encourage them to embrace all the positive, but you don't want to really be dogmatic about it. You want to be really, really have empathy for this person and love, and treat them with the respect because they've been through something. Respect what they've been through. You have to respect what people have been through, because if you don't, you will come out as really preachy and really unkind and unloving, and that's not what God wants for you. You understand? He doesn't want that for that person. So just be very careful, because we all have a process, and it's a reason why we're going through all these different things. So I couldn't see when she said that. So when I decided to forgive, let me tell you what forgiveness did. It gave me a space to heal. It did. I don't want to get emotional about it, but when I decided that it was okay to let go, it was such a relief, because all that stuff I was carrying around was just baggage. It was baggage, and it was so heavy. Even though every day I didn't feel that baggage, I didn't think about it daily. It would come up, maybe first it was coming up. Of course, at first it was daily. Then it was weekly, then bi-weekly, maybe monthly, but it was always there. It was lying dormant in me. Yeah, it was lying dormant in me. But when it could, it would rain. You hear me? When it could, it would rain in my life. And it would take over, and it would come up and I would operate in it. Yeah, that's what you do. When you have sin laying dormant in your life and you allow it to come up, then it rains and you start operating and you start walking in that thing. And that's what I would do. So I didn't like myself when I did that. I didn't like the things I was feeling, was saying, and it was changing me, like I said. And so it was just such a heaviness on me. Because, like I stated before, it was even hard to pray because I knew I was holding something back from God. And that's what the enemy wanted. The enemy wanted me to hold it back so I couldn't let it go and heal through God. See, I was not trusting in my maker and my master and my creator. I felt like this thing was mine when it really wasn't mine. It was God's. Because when you get hurt, you have to let God take care of you. You have to let Him hold you and love on you and to show you true love to different people around you, and through prayer and meditation and just through His word, and let it just watch you. But because I was holding on to all the negative, I was not allowing God to do any of that in my life. I was not letting Him reign in that. I was holding it over here. And I was thinking, okay, I don't want you to have that because I have this and I need this. Not realizing what I really needed was my God to help me through forgiveness. Because remember, He speaks about forgiveness in the Bible, and if we don't forgive, He wouldn't forgive us. Forgiveness is about reaping and sowing. So when you have it to give out, when you need it, it is there. It is sincerely there for you. So you have to be open to forgive and to heal. So you never know when it's going to be your turn to be forgiven. And when it is your turn, you want people to have empathy and love for you. And that's what you need to have for others. But sometimes people do things to you that are so despicable, so unhealthy. It just hurts you to your core. It hurts you and you just don't, it shakes you. And then you think, I thought I was more than this in God. I thought I could take some things, but then you find when someone hurts you that is so close to you, it shakes you, and then that's what happened. You create the space of unforgiveness. So like I said, when I decided to forgive, then it was a space to heal. So when I get in forgiveness, when you get into forgiveness, okay, and you're in the process of forgiveness changes you from a victim to a survivor. When you decide to start the process, the healing process, and forgive, you change from a victim to a survivor. You understand that? Let me tell you what a victim is. A victim is someone that's been harmed, okay, injured, or killed as a result of a crime. So when that person does that to you, you feel harmed. You feel like you're not in control. You feel like you've been injured. Something has been taken away from you. Something has been killed inside you. You are a victim, right? That's how you feel. And that's what you take away. And that's why you build up all the mechanisms which comes along with unforgiveness. That's why you build up the pain even more. You build up the bitterness and the rage because that is your coping mechanism. You understand? So because you are a victim and you've been hurt and you have all this inside of you and you feel like you've been killed in a way, and it's just a horrific thing to go through. So once you decide to forgive, like I say, you become a survivor. Let me tell you what a survivor is. It's a person who remains alive, you hear me, after a horrible event. So that's what forgiveness does for you. It makes you live again. You're no longer a victim of that person. That's why we always say forgiveness is for you, because you cannot die. You must live. You must go on. So it's not even about if that person says, I'm sorry. It's not even about if that person is sorry or acknowledges what they've done, or if that person begs for your forgiveness. It's not about that. It's about your mental health in God, and that blocking you from doing what you need to do in God, and stopping you, and you having death within inside of you, and you're starting to operate in that. And so if you want to live, you have to start the process of forgiving. Forgive that person for what they did. That does not mean that you're saying what they did was okay. It's not okay by any means what they did. You are not co-signing it, and you will never co-sign it. And that's what was holding me back, because I thought forgiveness was co-signing it. And I couldn't fathom doing that because I was so hurt. And it made me feel better to hate that person to a certain extent. I don't really know if that's the right word to use, and I hated that person, but I had a strong dislike, a strong bad taste in my mouth, for this person. And so that's what was going on within me. So once there is life rejuvenated inside you and you become a survivor, you just know that's the first step. Okay, now that's the first step. And so forgiveness has many, many layers. Okay. I'm going to talk about 3 layers that it has. The first person you usually need to forgive before you even forgive that person that wronged you is yourself. Is yourself. Because usually when something really bad and devastating happens to you, you always blame yourself, right? Think about that thing. Think about it. Are you still blaming yourself? Are you saying, if I didn't do A, B, or C, that wouldn't have happened to me? If I was more aware, that wouldn't have happened to me? If I was closer to the Lord, that wouldn't have happened to me? Whatever your excuse is to why that thing happened to you and you're not forgiving that person, you always put yourself in the forefront of it, and you say it's my fault. Let me tell you something. There's a lot of things that happen to us in life, and there's a lot of things that we do need to take responsibility for, and we do make some choices in life, okay? So even if you do have to share some kind of something with whatever happened to you, you have to forgive yourself of yesterday, because you're probably not even that same person that you were when the event happened. Say if you were not even following God at that time. Say you weren't saved. Say you were a kid and you were naive. It's so many situations out there, but you have to forgive yourself, okay? You have to make peace with your past self. If you felt like you were wrong and you allowed some things to happen, you have to make peace with yourself. All your mistakes, you got to make peace with it. You have to forgive yourself. Forgiveness starts with you. You understand that? You have to start with yourself. You have to understand that the person that you was that did those things, or got caught up in whatever, is no longer you. You can't bring your past into your present and expect to be successful. Okay? Because we're in progression all the time. We're becoming better and better all the time, right? Every day we're learning and we're becoming closer to our Lord and Savior, right? Every day. So we cannot bring that mess that happened way back then into the present. If you are part of it and you feel like that there's something you've done wrong, you have to forgive yourself. You just have to. You have to love the person you were, because that brought you to the person you are right now. You have to give her grace. You have to give her grace to exist. You can't be ashamed of her. You have to give her grace to exist, because sometimes without some of that, you wouldn't be who you are. Because let me tell you, God uses all that to make you a better person. He uses all that. So, like God did, like God did to bring her to you, to who you are right now, you have to not despise that process. Okay? You have to just love the current place you're at and where you're going. Honor where she's been. Honor where you've been. Okay? Don't be ashamed of her. Like I said, use her, which I'm speaking in the form of you. Because remember, God used to change names once you step into your true calling. Use that past person with a different name, a different total identity than what you are. Use her as a testimony. Don't be ashamed. Forgive her and use her as a testimony of what you've been through. And you are awesome, okay? Never forget what you've learned from her and all the past mistakes. So you will never be that again. You will never speak that again. You will never know that unsafety to again. You will be safe in God. So never allow her to interfere with today. You have to forgive her. So forgiveness with yourself. And number two, you have to forgive others. Yeah, and I just spoke about that. So that's one of the layers. And I spoke about how you have to forgive because of yourself. And so, like I was saying, it does not co-sign what they did. It's not saying it's okay. Forgiveness is for you. And it affects everybody else around you once you forgive, because you are free. Forgiveness is a freedom. So once you really get to that point when you realize how free you are, then you can help others. You can help others get to that point where you're at. It's all about giving back. And the final layer is the layer about forgiving God. Yeah, that's so true. So many people are walking around and blaming God and upset with God about different things that have happened in their life, in their past. I recently spoke to a young lady, and I didn't know it, but she's not a believer. You know, she doesn't believe. She doesn't believe in God at all, pretty much. You know, and so I looked at her, and knowing her story, I was surprised that she doesn't believe in God, because she's been through the foster care, and the foster care has done her so wrong. Horrible things happened to her through that situation. And so I looked at her and I was thinking, how doesn't she believe in God? Because he kept her and she's still here. But see, we have to flip the coin sometimes and we have to put ourselves in their shoes and understand where they're coming from. So where she's coming from is, oh, all I've been through, where is God? Where was he when I was getting abused in foster care, when I felt lonely, when I felt like no one loved me? Where is he? Where was he? So I understand how she feels like that. And so she's mad at God pretty much when she doesn't forgive him. So when you're at that kind of a place, you can't just look at the negative. You've got to look at the positive, because we got to remember, sin is on this earth because of what happened in the garden, and sin is going to affect our lives. And the enemy has certain dominion over, or certain control over the earth because of all the things that happen. But I say, but God, but God, but God, he uses everything to the good. So we have to have that kind of mindset that different things happen that may not necessarily be, you know, what we want to happen in our lives. But we got to know that God is there. And he is here for us. He's here to heal us and to love us despite of what we have been through. Sometimes we have no control over things when we're young and we're children and we're in someone else's hands. We have to forgive those things that happened to us in the past and be able to build on them, to use them for the kingdom. When I say use them for the kingdom, you need to be able to spot other people that are going through or been through the same thing you've been through and help them. She can turn her ashes and make them beautiful. She can help people and let them know that God has given her the strength to get through, and he can give them the strength too. But because right now she's not at the place, she has let the enemy speak to her and tell her that God doesn't exist. So remember that. Remember that we have to overcome by our testimony. We have to turn those things around and say, but God. But God, we have to have that mentality because he is real and he is really here for us. So when we run into people like that, we have to give them our testimonies and let them know what God has done for us. We're supposed to be lights. So just so you know that if you are dealing with unforgiveness with God, get on your knees, talk to him, and he will be there for you. And you will find out he's never left you. He's never forsaken you. He's always been there. It's the song by Fred Hammond that said he was much closer than I realized. So that's what I want you to know. If you have some ought with him or unforgiveness, he is much closer than you realize. And he is waiting on you to mend that relationship with him because he already loves you. He's already your keeper, your provider, your healer. He's just waiting for you to access him so he can be that in your life. But he is that. But he's waiting for you to activate that through him. So forgive God because he's your greatest advocate. He's all in all. So I want to say, don't allow yourself to be justified in your pain with rage and bitter, because you can sit there and say, I'm justified because of what they did. Because you are right. You know, you have a right to have pain. You have a right to have rage and bitterness in the situation because it's only natural. It's those emotions within inside of you. You have the right to feel that way, okay? But let me tell you what forgiveness will do. Forgiveness will help you operate in those things properly. Once you open yourself up and you decide to forgive and have the process going, and you take away that other person's power, because that's one of the things that forgiveness does. It takes away that hold that that person has over your life. So you allow that to be taken away, right? And so then you can deal with the pain properly. You can deal with the rage properly and the bitterness, and you can work through it because it's a process. Never act like it didn't happen. Never push it under the rug because it's going to come out again. So you have to deal with things properly because God has order in this life. God has put people here to help you. And I want you to know that I am one of them. So if you ever need anything, feel free to email me, just get in contact with me because this is one of my major purposes in life, my major callings. So I am here for you ladies. So that's about all that I have tonight. I hope you are ready to walk in forgiveness and start the process. And just so you know, it is a process. So don't be afraid of the process. Don't despise the process. Embrace the process. And know that once you are in it, God has you. God has you anyways. But once you're ready, then God can start moving something within you. He can start working things inside of you because all he's looking for is you to be ready, to position yourself to forgive. You have to position yourself because once you start positioning yourself, then he can move some things around in your life. He can create some miracles in your life and your calling will never be hindered again. Like I said, mental health is so important in order to pursue what God has for you. Because if you're not mentally stable and you're holding on to things and you have rage, anger, and you're medicating in different ways, that's not good because You won't be all you need to be in God. So I'm just encouraging you to start that process, even if you know it's just the beginning. Because you have to begin with an end in mind and know that in the end you're going to be whole again. But don't be afraid thinking you have to do everything all at once. Like you got to call that person and say, I forgive you, or even see that person. This is truly for you. Okay? And let God lead you in the process of forgiving. And please just search yourselves, because even if you don't think you have unforgiveness in your life, sometimes you do. So, that being said, I love you all. Thank you for spending this, 30, 40 minutes with me on probably a busy Monday night. And have peace and God be with you. I love you, sisters. Bye.